What if the best move for you right now is to quit saving so much for retirement? I recently told a couple to stop maxing out their 401k and start spending more on travel and fun. And no, they weren't sitting on millions. They didn't quite have enough to retire yet. But they're getting close, and after running the numbers, it turned out that those big contributions weren't really going to move the needle. What would make a difference? Well, easing up the pressure, having a little more enjoyment, and giving their money time to grow. If you're in a similar spot, this might work for you too. Now, why would I, a financial advisor who's been doing this for 20 plus years, give this advice that sounds so totally backwards? Well, let's walk through the numbers and see why this couple is happier than ever, even though their retirement accounts aren't growing as quickly as they were before. You see, most people think that they need to shovel every available penny into their 401k during their last few years. After all, these are your peak earnings years. But they could also be your best years physically and mentally. And in many cases, 1 or 2 years of big contributions doesn't make a dramatic difference in your outcome. So, was it irresponsible to stop saving or the best move they could make? Let's take a look, because you might not believe me unless you see this in action. To demonstrate this, we have Lana and Archer, both age 62. They have a total savings earmarked for retirement of $800,000. Each of them has $200,000 in a pre-tax 401k. Each has $75,000 in Roth. They have $200K in taxable investments and $50,000 in the bank. And we'll start with some baseline assumptions. That is that they would like to stop working early next year once they turn 63. They are going to earmark $120K for long-term care. They also have home equity. Maybe they'll need it, maybe they won't. And they each plan to live until age 93. Their goal is to spend $5,000 a month ignoring healthcare costs. In other words, healthcare costs would go on top of that. Plus, they want to do some go-go spending. So in the initial 10 years of retirement, they're going to spend an extra $15,000 per year. And we do have the retirement spending smile applied here. So that means that their spending will increase with inflation, but a little bit slower than inflation, except for those healthcare expenses, which will continue to inflate quickly. Right now, Lana is maxing out her 401k and Sterling is saving $10,000 per year. If we look at their results, it doesn't look great in terms of Monte Carlo. We have fairly low odds of success. And then if we go over to Income Lab and we look at net annual spending that might be available with those assets, it still comes up short. So this is 64,500 of potential outflow, but their actual expenses next year might be more like 100,000. Now that is due in part because they're going to have higher healthcare costs if they retire before age 65. So we got to keep that in mind. The question we looked at is, what if they stop saving quite as much in those accounts? Now they would need to keep working, and we'll have them both go to age 65. Fortunately, they don't hate their jobs as secret agents, so they can keep doing that. They have a decent amount of flexibility, and we're going to bump them down both to 5% going into the 401k. Lana does get a match. So if we just make those changes and take a look, what's going to happen with their odds of success? It comes up to 72, which is not terrible. It's not super high. I know a lot of people would find that to be low, but remember that 100% odds of success could mean, if your assumptions are correct, that that's 100% odds of not spending as much as you could. And remember, they do have some wiggle room here. So if things started going badly, especially in the early years, they could maybe bump this go-go spending down to more like 10,000 a year, and that gets them a much better number. And they really might be okay with that because remember, they have stopped saving quite as much. So when we go over to what the amount they were putting into their 401ks, and we're going to move over to the stop saving here, that's a total of 10,000 coming out of their pockets or out of their pay, essentially, that would be going into 401k. So 10,000 versus about 49,000. So if you think about that, they have about $39,000 per year more that they can spend today. Again, they're going to have to keep working. But if you imagine, what could you do with $39,000 per year in terms of, taking extra vacations, long weekends? If you have any kind of flexibility or the ability to take unpaid time off or anything like that, you can do a lot with that type of money. And of course, they could save a little bit more if they wanted to. So maybe they'll go to, $7,000 and $8,000 or something like that. And that would even further improve things. But the point is, this would make working much more enjoyable, much more tolerable. And it's like getting a head start on their retirement. If you put it another way, it's like they're doing early retirement without making that full commitment to pulling the ripcord. There is even a concept here called Coast Fire, which sort of explains what they're doing. So FIRE is financial independence, retire early, and there are various flavors of it. One of them is Coast. This just happens to be an article from Nick Majuli. I believe others have popularized the concept, but I like Nick's stuff. And what it does is says you get up to a point where you have assets saved that could eventually support you through retirement. You couldn't retire today, but you no longer need to keep adding more and more to your retirement accounts. And again, shoveling every single penny into your 401k or your Roth IRA. As he puts it, Coast Fire focuses on saving up for your future retirement and then coasting. That's where the name comes from, coasting until then. Now, what is the point of all this? Is it to collect experiences or to make your Instagram account look better? No, it's, again, to just enjoy yourself so that when you are working, it's a lot more tolerable. You'll return to work every week or after every vacation a little bit more refreshed, a little bit more energized, and you'll just enjoy life more in general because tomorrow is not guaranteed. You might not even get to those retirement years and get to do the things that now might be possible if you just stop saving as much. And again, after running the numbers and making sure that you have a reasonable plan in place for all of this to work. There are a lot of other things to think about here, like Social Security timing and tax strategy and other aspects. But for now, I wanted to focus on this one point just to give you something to think about. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please leave a quick thumbs up, and I look forward to talking with you soon.